Hey guys, the last time we posted, you saw that we installed a cowboy pool over the tiny house. Now, we have all loved it as a family, but I wanted to take a minute to step back and give you a floor plan or bird's eye view of really what's happening, where we place the cowboy pool, what decking we're using, how I designed the deck, those kind of things. So here is my floor plan, like landscape design drawing of the house. We have, as you know, the tiny house is 2 units. We have the living room side and the bedroom side, which that alone creates the perfect spot for an L-shaped deck. And that's what the original intention of the tiny home design had. It has a breezeway to connect the 2 units. So this was the existing deck that we already had. I had these long stairs to kind of really just create this elevated, also additional places to sit, and then that's where I paint my stairs. So that is all existing. Now, I wanted the cowboy pool to really have the best view of the lot, like where the tiny house is. And so we put it at the end of the bedroom unit here. And I centered, it's an 8-foot diameter cowboy pool. I centered it on the front face of the tiny home. What that does is sort of give us, like, it's, honestly, the scale of the cowboy pool, 8-foot diameter, I just wanted it to be like half into the tiny house unit because the tiny house is 11'6". So to kind of push it forward, it keeps the eye going. What we did is the new deck, it goes here 2 foot, and then we take a diagonal line across. Now I chose to keep the face of the cowboy pool open just because I think it's just cool. We might paint it or do a fun design or decal at some point. So I liked the idea of sort of exposing that, and I didn't want it to have too much of a built-in look. So here's your tiny house unit that's 11'6". Here's that kind of awkward section between the tiny house where we added that retaining wall. You guys have seen the drainage issues that we've been struggling against. So that's the retaining wall that we had to add for drainage. Now, it's like, let's just connect this whole thing, because what's happening is this is sort of just an area that's kind of a wash, and we don't really need to do anything back there. But by taking the deck all the way to the retaining wall, this is now creating this really epic spot for lounge chairs or some kind of amazing outdoor furniture. And this has the highest view on the lot to look out into the hill country. So when people come or we have a hangout in the cowboy pool, you have the best view. So this was like the natural spot for it. Now, looking at this landscape view, you can tell a couple tricks. If you're looking at like how to lay flooring or what direction to lay your decking, things like that. My method is a really modern approach when I'm laying a floor or a decking material. So specifically with the tiny house, I wanted the deck boards to run the same in parallel with the shape of the architecture of the tiny home across this front. Now, that's a good thing for a builder because they usually want the longer runs. It means it goes down faster, so that's a good thing. I had to be very careful about where I wanted to lay the seams. The deck boards only come in 16-foot lengths, and so I wanted to be specific and intentional about where our seams are lining up. So we added a seam to the left of the door frame. So it goes from the edge to the left of the door frame, which really is close to the edge of the step also. And then we have another section here that ends on the right side of the unit. And then at this point, when you go into the breezeway, I want the deck boards to make this area appear wider than it is. This is a little less than 7 foot. And so by running the deck boards the short way, this makes the eye pull these walls apart, and it makes the space feel a little bit bigger. Then at that point, I'm gonna keep running them this way, all the way down. We hit the deck of the cowboy pool. Now at this point, we're gonna have a radius cut, which is gonna look awesome. And then dropping a seam sort of somewhere in the middle of this. And then at that point, those deck boards just keep going. So the idea is you use the deck boards or flooring, if you're doing flooring, you use the length of it to make the eye go where you want it to and make it elongate. It's like fashion. So one design challenge that we had was I really didn't want to use a picture frame approach on the design of the layout, but because naturally you don't want to see the end of the Kebony piece with that step clip, there are a few areas where we had to add an end cap piece. And so that was here at the last, on this here. Now these boards are running this way, so they do have a single groove piece that we can end on here. So this will have a real modern, clean line. Same with these stair boards. This corner has been a point of contention, and we'll come back to it, but it was really kind of tricky. We've used this amazing material called Kebony, and I'm excited to go introduce you to Ben Roberts, who is here with his team installing. I'm here with Ben Roberts, the U.S. Marketing Director for Kebony, and we're so excited to have you here. They've been here all weekend installing the tiny house deck.
Yes, it's been so exciting to be out here, just seeing it come to life finally, so it's very cool.
Yes, so when Joey and I sat down and started looking at what material we wanted to use on the tiny house deck, we found Kebony, and one of the things that drew us to your product was that it's sustainably harvested. So it does sort of look like an Ipe, but it's even better, and tell me why. I want people to know, like, what is Kebony, what makes it so interesting and such a good alternative to Ipe, something like Ipe.
Yeah, and that's really exactly what I say, is it's really the sustainable alternative to Ipe. And the reason for that is because, first of all, it's FSC certified, which means that it has a chain of custody. So you can look at your Kebony out here and know that it was all the way from landing in your project all the way back to the mill and the forest it was harvested from. You know exactly where it came from, and that's really important for a lot of people. And also that means that it's sustainably managed along the way as well, all the way down the chain.
I love that. On my channel we talk a lot about ethically made and sourced products, and this is the deck for, like, the version of that product is Kebony. Yeah. Talk to me about how it's made, because it's really dense.
Yes, it definitely is. And so we like to say that we're really taking a softwood product and transforming it into something that's as stable and strong as a hardwood, sometimes even more so. And so this particular product is our Kebony Clear grade, and that means that it's a radiata pine coming out of New Zealand. And it's a sustainably managed forest, and we take it from there and we take it to Norway or Belgium, where our plants are. Cool. And they're going to do two things to it. They're going to put furfullated alcohol. We say impregnating it with furfullated alcohol, and that's a bio-based fluid. And what that's doing is it's thickening the cell walls. So what we're doing is we're changing the wood structure.
Interesting.
And it starts with thickening the cell walls. Then we take it from there, we move it into a kiln, and we heat it up, and we actually solidify that within the actual wood cell. And so what that allows it to do is, one is it gives it the beautiful brown color that you see, and the other thing that it does is it makes it extremely stable. And when the wood cell walls are thickened, then moisture can't get inside. And the reason that wood is going to be cupping, warping, cracking is because moisture is going in and moisture is going out. And so we've stopped the ability for moisture to get into the Kebony, and so you're not going to see the same warping, cracking, and checking that you would normally see on a tropical hardwood or even softwoods.
Cedar. Yeah, I mean,
cedar, pine.
That was a big thing for us, was we wanted to use a material that isn't just going to start splintering and cracking, especially here in Texas. Like, look how in the sun it is.
Yes.
You know, so Kebony is going to be a great solution instead of something like a nasty, like, composite plastic.
Yes.
You know, we are trying to stay away from that. So we wanted to use real wood, but something that wouldn't just have all the issues that come with real wood. Let's talk about the installation process. So Kebony has 4 options for installation, and we're using 3 of them here on the tiny house.
Yeah, so what we did was we designed a deck board that we call the Kebony deck board, and it's a 4-in-1 profile for a deck board. And so typically with any sort of decking, you have to choose. Either you're going to face fasten it, or you're going to use something that's going to the side on a square board, or you're choosing a grooved board with hidden fasteners. But we've put all of those into one singular board.
I want to grab the sample. Oh, or here.
Okay.
Can I just grab it, Joey?
Okay.
Yeah.
This is your YouTube channel. We can keep...
I promise I'm hurrying. All right, so this is the step clip thing, which is super cool. So for all you building nerds out there are some of you on my channel. Some of you just like paint colors. Anyway,
That's good
this
too.
is so cool. I actually nerded out on this when he showed this to us. This is the step clip thing. Now you explain it.
Okay, so what this clip is designed to do is help you get a deck down faster, sometimes 50% faster than you typically would.
I needed you in my Extreme Makeover Home Edition days.
Yes.
Where were you back then, Ben?
You know what? God only knows where I was. But,
Yeah.
This step clip wasn't around, that's for sure. It's a pretty new product, and it's made by Duralife. And we are the only wood decking product that can use this specific step clip.
Cool.
So if you want to use wood for your deck, you can only, and you want to use step clip, you have to use Kebony.
Got it. So you attach these, like face nail these onto your floor joists, like the rafters.
That's right.
You
Yep.
have to make sure it's super level.
Yeah, so you want to
That
make
was an
sure it's
issue
level
here.
and you want to make sure it's square. And then once it's level and square, all you have to do is just pop the boards in.
That's probably the part that takes the longest, is leveling and squaring
Yeah.
and making sure they were snapping lines and leveling. And
Yep.
So
You
that
wanna
was
make
the
sure
hardest
that's
part.
right.
And then once it's down right, it just literally like clips in,
Yep.
right?
You just smack it.
I didn't want to hurt you.
You won't break it.
Well, here you do it. Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
If
It's
I
called
could have
step
done
clip.
that with my boot, it would have been
Yeah,
fine.
it's not
but
called
anyway.
slap clip, so it's a little bit harder if you're just
Yeah.
using your hand. It's step clip.
There you go. You have to use boots. Anyway, so and then once you get it in, you can really kind of shift it the way you need to.
That's right. Yeah, you can maneuver it where you need to, but these are not coming up, so it's going to be solid, secure, and it's not going anywhere.
Awesome. So that was installation method number 1, which we are using across the whole, a lot of the
Yeah.
tiny house. On the existing frame, this is what we used.
Yep.
On the new frame around the Cowboy pool, we're using the hidden fastener version, and
Yep.
that's more typical to what we might see on a deck.
Yeah, it's very much like you would see as any hidden fastener. It's called the Fascinator clip.
Did y'all coin that?
We did not make up any of these names.
Okay.
They were by Duralife, actually.
Got it.
And so these are products that we worked in conjunction with them to license for our products.
Okay.
And it's the only difference is it's made to fit into this specific profile.
Perfect.
And so it actually goes across the whole joist. It has a pre-built, has a screw already connected.
Drilled or, yeah.
Yeah, to the fastener. So you just pop it in, drill it down, and it covers the full joist.
Awesome. Okay, so step clip, hidden fastener, and the third one we're using is just like a plug.
Yep, it's the Pro Plug system, and
Okay.
it has special Kebony plugs. So when you put it in, it's gonna have the same weathering properties, same look as the Kebony that's already there. One thing that's exciting that we're getting ready to launch is we're getting ready to launch our online store for the Kebony decking. So everything that we're installing right now, we'll be able to sell direct off of our website
That's
in
so huge.
just a few short weeks.
People are just spending a lot more time at home, and online ordering is really, truly more important than ever.
Yes.
So I think that's going to be really great for your customers.
Yes, and we can ship anywhere in the U.S., so it doesn't matter if you're a homeowner, a contractor, commercial, it doesn't matter. We can ship anywhere in the U.S. for you guys.
Awesome. Okay, and then I also wanted to mention that the lumber for all of the deck came from TimberTown here in Austin. So thank y'all so much. You guys are amazing. Literally every time they delivered, they were just so sweet. I just was so impressed. So really fun to work with a bunch of local guys here. Okay, so once this deck is finished, we won't have to seal this. We can just let it gray and let it weather. And it'll turn gray. I think people will want to know that. What will the maintenance look like? It's going to be pretty much maintenance free.
Yeah, it's a maintenance free product. You don't need to seal it in order to keep the stability or the strength of the deck. It's just like real wood, so it's going to gray out just like real wood. It's going to be a very even, just beautiful patina once it's all done, and it comes with a 25-year warranty as well.
Perfect. That's good to know for all of us homeowners who are investing in something like this. So where can people find you?
You can find out all the information you want to know about Kebony at kebony.us. That's where our online store will be. All projects that you want to see, including this one. We can't wait to get great shots of this one, and whether it's video and photos. And on social media, we're on all the social medias at Kebony USA.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you.
Guys have been
Thanks
fun
for
to
having
work
us.
with. We
It's
are
been exciting.
so excited.
Yes.
And I just can't wait personally to jump off the Kebony deck into the Cowboy pool.
Yes,
That's what
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to.
Yes.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a few days, y'all, but the deck is finished. It's completely installed. It's 100% finished, but what's under my feet, not so done. Next step is landscaping, but before we get to that, I want to explain and kind of talk to you about the Kebony deck that we did. So come take a look. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. As you can see, we've got, I guess we almost doubled the deck, the existing to the new, around the Cowboy pool. So The tiny home does not have a tiny deck. It has a beautiful Kebony deck. I wanted to explain a few, it's been raining, so sorry for the mess and the mud, but I wanted to explain a few of the challenges and just some of the design decisions that we looked at on paper and how did I apply that in real life to the actual finish plan here. So the Kebony, as we talked about, has two different fastening systems, the step clips. So with the existing deck that we had, we used the step clip system. Now, probably the biggest challenge we had was this was an existing deck that we already had built about a year ago. So with the step clip system, the biggest challenge is you definitely have to have a very level frame. If the frame is not level, the step clip system doesn't work that well. You'll have to shim. You'll have to shim and do some things, work some magic there. So with the existing frame, we did have to level out a few boards, replace a few boards for that step clip system to work. Once we got the existing frame level, the step clip like the pieces go across the floor rafters, the joists of the frame, and they go, and once that's done, man, this thing rocked and rolled. It was a speedy installation. So on the design front, several of the things that we kind of kept coming to were how are we going to frame the top layer, like the actual, are we going to picture frame or not? That was the question. Are we going to picture frame or not? I didn't want a picture frame on this deck. We wanted it to feel very modern. Now, but with that being said, we don't want to see the end boards of the Kebony step clip system on this side. So we did add a minimal 3-inch frame on the end. They do have pieces that are with a no groove. So on the face of the fascia, you see the end panels have no groove. It's like whereas on the inside here, it's almost like there's a groove there for the step clip system to clip into. So we have one picture frame at this end where all the boards are running this way. I did decide, as we had before, we ran the boards parallel to the structure and the architecture of the house. And I wanted to do that because it helps make the deck just flow, just keep flowing. Once you get down there to the end, it flows into the breezeway, so it looks really nice. Now come along here to the front. Again, because we're going horizontally this way, we did not need any kind of picture framing on this last panel, but we did use a piece with no groove here on the end. The fascia is made up of two 6-inch pieces. So we have about a 12 and 3/4 fascia board. I didn't want to go all the way down to the bottom with this skirting because I just like the idea that this deck is going to feel very modern, kind of light on its feet. And we'll take the landscaping rocks and we'll go underneath. So we'll throw like the xeriscaping rock under the frame and it'll just look really nice. The boards that you see existing, we're just going to hide that with landscaping, the pier and beams. I'm not worried about it. This is a rustic-ish house, so I don't want it to be super refined. I was more interested in just seeing the Kebony deck kind of floating and hovering over the ground. I was asked probably 20 times by the guys doing this build. They did an awesome job and they were paying attention to all the details, and that's exactly the type of person that you want building things for your house, right? So this corner was kind of a problem child, and there were a lot of different ways you could, so to speak, skin the cat. I wanted to keep it super modern. We did line up our seams. So the Kebony comes in 16-foot pieces. So we want to make sure like all of our seams are lining up. So right here, I knew we wanted a seam because the end of this living unit is there. So we have a butt joint here, which I didn't mind a butt joint on this. We're going for very modern and we wanted all the boards to like line up, right? But we do have, yes, thank you. Good job. I don't know where you put your shoe, but we do have these boards going into the house because we wanted it to flow and keep going and carry your eye all the way down to the Cowboy pool. So what we ended up doing, obviously just as we saw over there, I can't have the end of the boards showing here. So we took a very minimal picture frame detail, about 3 inches, and capped it so you don't see the end of the boards. And I just ended up doing a butt joint. We played with miter joints and angles and things, but the butt joint here just really worked and it kept everything super modern. That's all we wanted. Now, carrying around to the last challenge that they overcame was, how are we going to radius around this cut around the Cowboy pool? I mean, this looks amazing, doesn't it? We did a 1/2 inch overhang just to cover the edge of the pool, and also to give your legs somewhere to sit on, you know, when you're sitting on the deck and your feet are in the pool. We chamfered the edge of the boards, and the way they were able to achieve this radius cut was they did a template with plywood, and they just really carefully routed this whole thing. They scribed it. These guys did a stellar job. They were out here multiple days doing this project, and they paid a lot of attention to detail. In case you're wondering, we are definitely putting a custom pool cover on this. We have small children, and there's all the reasons in the world that we don't, even though it's only 2 foot deep, we still don't want them to be able to go into this open body of water. Sunny, be careful. Good job. So we'll definitely be putting a custom pool cover on this. But all in all, you guys, the Kebony looks awesome. I'm super excited to put furniture out here. The view from up here over the hill country is epic. And soon enough, we're gonna have this tiny house up and running, and you'll be able to see it for yourself. So I also wanted to mention, you guys, TimberTown did all of the framing materials, and they are local to Austin. They were such a joy to work with. Every time their guys showed up to deliver, just smiles and cheerful attitudes. And so we're really grateful to TimberTown, to Kebony for supplying this deck, working with us, and for also the guys that installed it. They just did such a good job. So we're gonna link their companies here. I'm gonna save what they do in their companies for another video, because it's actually quite fascinating what their main gig is. This was a side hustle job. I'm gonna highlight them in a future video, but go check them out. But yeah, thanks guys for joining. I'm so excited about the way this deck turned out. We still have a lot of work ahead of us. Joey and I are gonna landscape this thing next with looter pavers and succulents and native plants, but wish us luck, because we really don't know what we're doing, and we're gonna do it ourselves, we think. So yeah, I'm gonna be relying on YouTube. But if you're enjoying our videos, please go subscribe. Our hands are so full. It's like dinner, bedtime, bath time, but we're still trying to bring content to you because it's important to us. So have a good night, you guys.